thanks so much for taking the time. And I start by thanking you for partnering with Rotman with the Global Manager Initiative. So first, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your company.
Okay, my name is Ted Maulucci. I'm the president of Smart One Solutions. I'm actually the founder of it. The company is a smart community company. We've been operating for just over 7 years. What we do is we take smart homes, we connect them over the central network of a building to create a smart community. So instead of having independent smart homes, they can now interact with each other, and we can do things like vehicle sharing, package delivery, that type of thing. Our go-to-market strategies, we partner with large telecommunication companies. So we have a contract with Bell Canada. So they sell our solution with their internet. We also have a partnership with TELUS and are working on some relationships in the United States.
Wow, that's so very exciting and fits nicely with the theme of what we teach at the Rotman School around smart cities and new technologies. You know, Ted, one of the things we tell the companies who partner with us is that this partnership must be win-win. Please tell us about your experience in that respect, meaning how did your interaction with our MBA students help you?
So it was a great interaction. And I think it's good to say that I was at the same conference last year and I didn't do the program with the MBAs. And the reason I did do it this year was because I made friends with another co-founder of another company, and she had done the program and brought in, and the MBA students were working with her, and she had such a great experience with it. And I actually started interacting with her students, took them to dinner and started speaking to them the year before. And after seeing the way that evolved, I thought I had to do that this year. And the reason is they actually give you a lot more traction. When you go to these trade shows, it's hard to really work the entire floor. It's hard to really get around to all the different places. And the students just become feet on the street for you. They get out there, they interact with people, and they just, they made the whole experience a lot more effective. I was able to cover a lot more ground than I would have been otherwise. The other side of it is just, I'd have to say it's kind of fun because it's always good to offer mentorship and to interact, meet new people. And that whole experience was really great. Like we're at the conference, we would walk back to the hotel, an hour walk together and just talk and share. So overall, very, very rich and rewarding experience.
Yeah, I really want to thank you, Ted, because the students that we debriefed with told us that your mentorship meant the world to them. So not only did they have a great experience at the trade show, but just talking to you as a real trailblazer, a founder, an entrepreneur, someone who's doing so very well, you really inspired them. So thank you so much for that. Can you tell us a little bit about what the students did for you, preparing you for the trip? So before going to the trade mission, how did they prepare you?
So that was interesting. At one point I thought, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be totally honest. At one point, oh my God, how are they going to, the first interaction is like, oh my God, they're starting from zero. I'm not getting where I want to go. And then once I gave feedback, they really dug in. So they took a lot of time up front just to understand our business, understand the target markets, understand what we're all about. They then created presentation decks back to me about our own company and in their own words, which I thought was fantastic to see that they knew it so that they could prepare themselves for this conference. The other thing that they did, which was really valuable, was they actually took the time to go through the attendee list to start to look at what were the types of companies that were the target audiences so that we could then have a meaningful conversations. Well, how would you address that one? How would you attack that one? And really customize the approach so that they would know how to speak about Smart One in a meaningful way with a whole different variety group of audiences.
Yeah, so as a follow-up to that, so they did all of this work in preparing you in advance of going to Barcelona. How were the students helpful for you on site at the trade mission? And hopefully it met your expectations, Ted.
It was great. I mean, sometimes they would get audience with people I wouldn't get audience with. Sometimes I would get audience that like vice versa. And we were just tag team. We worked together as a collective group to make sure that we hit every single possibility that was out there. So I remember going by and seeing the Deloitte booth. And I said, hey, there might be something there. So I sent one of them over there to investigate. And that's really what it was. It was just a great collaboration of them looking at different things and meeting different people and us kind of playing off each other. It was really good. I still have a whole bunch of stuff that I'm continuing to follow up with. So we got good results from the interaction.
Yeah. So, Ted, what would you recommend to other companies that are watching this video in terms of whether they should partner with Rotman on this initiative? What would your recommendation be?
My recommendation is I know that a lot of companies are hesitant to do these things because they're afraid that it's going to take them too much work, or it's going to take them more work than the outcome and what it's going to be worth to them. I was in those shoes because I actually do volunteer and spend a lot of time mentoring students and working with students. So at first I was like, okay, here's another thing. Do I really want to do this? After seeing it and being there, there's a lot of value in it. There's a lot of value in making that trade show far more effective for you. You also build great relationships. At the end of it, you have a good time. It's always fun to interact with that next generation. So I would definitely recommend this to anyone.
Thanks so much. And sort of a last open-ended question for you, Ted. What else would you like to add? Was there anything special about one of the interactions? We often say, the Rotman students are really bright. When they finish the program, they land phenomenal jobs, but they'll often ask questions that you haven't thought of in a long time. Was that kind of different perspective in these kinds of questions that you weren't expecting? How helpful were they?
Some of the ways they presented our product were different than the way we did it. And actually, I took those and used those going forward. So that was quite good. One of the students also spoke multiple languages, made it kind of interesting because it was a very international conference. And he was able to engage and build relationships in some other parts of the world that I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. And that was also very beneficial. And then a lot of times when you're sharing your perspectives, when you're walking and you're mentoring or just sharing your experiences, one of the greatest ways of learning is actually by sharing it. So, even in the last night, we ended up in a heated discussion. And, and at the end, I finally said to the student, it's like, what you feel and think is the same thing as me. Don't think because I'm older, I have this all zipped up. And it was really that kind of like you learn by teaching, and these interactions become very rich in helping you become a better person and helping you see the world in a different way.
Yeah, that's so insightful. Thank you so much. I think my last question for you, Ted, is you talked about last time you didn't get the students. You saw the value that they were delivering. So this time at this past Barcelona trade mission, you engaged the students and you're giving this beautiful testimonial on the value. You're going to the MWC trade mission in Barcelona. Are you planning to partner with us again and get more students?
That's a loaded question because you already know that I actually emailed you proactively. When we got back, I had a little note in my book. Make sure you email Walid to make sure that you don't get left behind and you do this again. That next conference, which is MWC Barcelona, is actually even more central to what Smart One does. And there's a lot of ground to cover. So I'm really looking forward to having students with me again.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ted, for taking the time to talk to me now, but more importantly, for partnering with Rotman on this initiative. And as you say, helping the next generation of leaders. Thank you so very much, Ted.
Thank you. Like I said, it was an amazing experience.